let's pretend that you came in silently and completed the do now. So I'm gonna give you 5 quick minutes to go ahead and do the do now so I can launch the lesson correctly. Okay. You would have picked these up when you came in. Fill it out. I'm walking around Mary positively. Totally my fault. Good, looking for 100% of pencils on paper, waiting on 1. Please go ahead and answer all the way down to that stop sign at the bottom of the page. Okay. That's how we would have entered. Now I've brought you back. We've said good morning, we've read the objective. Let's go back to it. I asked you a pretty odd question on the do now, and as you guys answered it, I walked around and some of you I wrote a check mark on, some of you I didn't. Stay tuned for that. We're gonna talk about that once we dive into the article, and I'm gonna see if I was able to successfully predict your favorite letters. You're gonna learn my trick today. So if you got a check, you're learning my trick to see if you can do it as well. Look at question number 2 right now. Do you know where you got your name from? Today we're gonna be talking about names, and the names of things, the names of places, the names of people. And so I asked you this question. Do you know where you got your name from? Go ahead and turn and tell your partner what you wrote down. Go ahead, go.
My parents paid for the
Good, 100% turning and talking.
My mom's favorite.
Partner switch.
Yeah, my parents just like my name. I forget what my boyfriend's name is gonna be, but.
Bringing it back in 3. All eyes tracking me in 2. Voices off 1. And 0. Okay, I'm gonna take 2 responses. I love the communication happening. I hope you guys had some fun stories. Definitely see some volunteers. I'm gonna start with my own story. My name, according to my parents, actually came from a Mexican soap opera actress. So I don't know, I've never seen the Mexican soap operas. I wouldn't understand them if I did see them. I just trust that that's where it came from, but that's what I've always been told. So I'll take 2 volunteers. Raise your hands silently. Thank you, Joey. Go ahead and share.
My mom believed that the only real surprise we have in life is what the sex of your baby is, and so she picked a name that would work no matter what the sex of your baby was.
That's cool.
And
I
don't know
like
why
it.
I picked Joey, but could have picked like Dylan.
Thanks for sharing. I'll take one more. One more. Give your partner some love. Good. Go ahead. Share.
My parents just opened up the Bible, and the first name that they saw is what they named me.
Wow.
It could have been anything, bro. Like, your name could have been like Misha.
You are correct. You lucked out on that one. All right. Go ahead and turn the page for me, please. That means you are getting to page 2 in 3. Go ahead and get those pages turned in 2. You're there in 1. And it is time to play Guess That Author. Before we get started today, did y'all not?
Yeah, it didn't copy 2-sided.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just
my
task
little
3.
sleeper. My little sleeper here is what it looks like with a picture of somebody as an author, and it asks you, can you guess the author of this quote? Volunteer to read the quote, please.
What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
Did anybody recognize that quote? Thank you. Any guesses who this dapper fellow is here in the box? Yes, ma'am.
Shakespeare?
Shakespeare, fantastic. When we get into our article today, they're going to start by mentioning a famous play that William Shakespeare wrote. It's called Romeo and Juliet. Snap, have you seen Romeo and Juliet? Yeah, similar story, not quite as deep. Romeo and Juliet is about two teenagers that meet and fall in love, but their families forbid them to be in love. And as Juliet is upset about this fact, she says this quote, and it's our job to try and figure out the importance of this quote in this article. Think about that as we get into it. All right, volunteer two, let me stop and pause. I want to mention for this launch in the Wheatley module, they have a picture of Shakespeare and they have a 2-paragraph biography of him. And they give this summation of the play. I chose to put it as a question. For me, the launch being a thought question seems to gain interest. And so that's a decision that I've made. Feel free to use it on your own. C. Volunteer, we are at task 2 in the text. Can I have somebody read the directions for task 2, please?
Read the text below and answer the questions that follow. Underline the main idea of this article.
Joe, I'm going to have you read that one more time. I need all eyes tracking the text, please, this time as he reads aloud.
Read the text below and answer the questions that follow. Underline the main idea of this article.
Let me make sure I know what I'm doing. What am I underlining?
The main idea.
I need all voices on. What are we underlining?
The main idea.
Fantastic. I'm going to read. Your job is to track the text as I go. I want to be able to see your eyes on text. I want to see the pencil on paper. And if I snap, I want you to say the word aloud. In Psychology Today, posted January 11, 2010. Was Shakespeare wrong? Would a rose by any other name smell as sweet? Juliet Capulet was wrong about the rose. Shakespeare, or more precisely Juliet, was wrong in declaring a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Names have power. They are not like shirts that you can change without changing you. There is the many times replicated letter name effect. I'm going to stop there because if you look on your paper, you'll see that the word replicated is circled. Good readers need to know what these words mean. So when you see a circle in your text, you are going to hear me call that a word splash. I'm going to give you a short definition to write above it. And we're going to be able to reread the sentence with full understanding, and we're going to move on. In this case, replicated means to be repeated. So above the words replicated, everybody writes repeated. Writing the word repeated. I know she's listening. I like it. I'm going to reread that sentence. There is the many times replicated letter name effect, originally discovered more than 2 decades ago by J.M. Nutton in Narcissism Beyond Gestalt, 1985. What's your favorite letter? Likely, it's a letter in your name. Stop. Try me. Go back to your do now. Think about the letters you circled. If you got a check mark on your paper, I was doing what this study suggested and checking to see whether you circled your initials. Check to see if you circled either your first initial or your last initial, and snap if you did. So I'm not really psychic. You can do this to your friends, but don't tell them the secret, okay? We're gonna stop right there because I have 2 questions I want you to answer, silent and solo. 1 minute, you're writing the answer to. What is the title of this article? Number 2, what is the genre of this article? Go ahead, 1 minute, write silently. 1 minute says, y'all don't have the page, so we're pretending. I'm walking around. Good, it looks like we are doing a fantastic job. Somebody raise their hand and tell me what is the article, the title of this article. Yes, ma'am, Sarah.
Psychology, the law.
Okay, Okay, go back to that title and look, because there's some different information that we have to figure out. Psychology Today is not the title, so let's look and see if we can find the title. Any other guesses? Joseph?
Was Shakespeare wrong? Would a rose by any other name smell as sweet?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Fix it on your paper if you wrote something different. Psychology Today is a clue, though. It's a clue to question number 2. What's the genre of this article? Call it out.
Informational.
Informational nonfiction. Same or different?
The same.
The same. How did you know it was nonfiction? Raise your hand. Yes,
It
ma'am.
wasn't a story or a plot or characters or like figurative language.
And let's go back to Sarah, who suggested maybe this was the title. How did you know this was nonfiction based on Psychology Today?
The source was an academic journal
Yes.
whoever.
Fantastic. Lay in neon for you. Turn the page. Get there in 3. Get there in 2. Get there in 1. Perfect. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to turn and talk to your partner about questions 3 and 4. So level 1, 2 minutes. Answering, stop and jot style. What does Shakespeare's quote mean? And what is the main idea of this article? 2 minutes. You may begin.
Can I turn and talk?
Please.
The
So-
reason his names don't matter, or his names
A
do matter.
rose by anything else.
Yes.
If you call it a rose, it's this.
I agree.
So
Who would you still be willing to smell with?